We preview the Denver Broncos season and tell you if they go over 10.5 wins, and we let you know how you can take home $1,000 this NFL season, and it all starts right now. What's going on, everyone? It's Matt from Grandstand Bettors, and last year we cashed 70% of our season win total predictions, so we figured why not try to go for 93% here in 2022. We're also excited to announce our second annual NFL betting contest is now open at grandstandbettors.com. The link's below in the description. Go sign up for free and have yourself a chance to win $1,000 in other great prizes throughout the season. But without further ado, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smack that like button because it's time to dive into the Denver Broncos season preview. Broncos, their season win total set at 10.5 at the moment. And the Broncos quarterback woes seem to be in the past now as they had to give up a lot, but they did get Russell Wilson this year. And if you want to talk about what they gave up Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, defensive lineman Shelby Harris, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a 5th-round pick in this year's draft. Now, that's a lot for a 10-year veteran who just suffered a hand injury last season. It does make this offense, though, very dangerous as they have been building up weapons, and they have only been missing really a quarterback since 2015 when Peyton Manning was playing. At wide receiver, they have very good and quick receivers with Sutton, Judy, and Patrick. However, all of these guys had injuries at some point last season, and none of them were even in the top 45 in the NFL in receiving yards. Now, they did, though, average 12 yards, or all average 12 yards per reception, and that tells us that Wilson might be uncorking it a lot down the field to these guys, the same way he did with Lockett and Metcalf in Seattle. Now, while these guys seem to be very injury-prone based on last season, you would think that the Broncos would have brought in a solid tight end to help Wilson out when he gets in trouble and in third down situations. However, the Broncos did not do that in the offseason, and that might come back to hurt them later in the year. Right now, they have Albert Okwuegbunam listed as their starting tight end. This guy is in his 3rd year in the NFL, and in 18 games that he's played so far, he only has 44 receptions and 451 yards. If the Broncos start getting thin at wide receiver with injuries like they did last season, they're going to have to rely on their run game here to pick up the slack without a good tight end. At running back, though, they have a very nice dynamic between second-year player out of North Carolina, Javonte Williams, and 7-year veteran Melvin Gordon III, who has a 1,000-yard rushing season under his belt. Now, the Broncos really took the idea of split backs literally, as these two guys last season had the exact same number of carries with 203 apiece. Gordon did have 15 more rushing yards than Williams and 4 more touchdowns, so definitely looks like Gordon is the go-to back in the red zone, but it is very tiring for defenses to have to defend 2 solid backs. Defensively, the Broncos had a very good year last season. They ranked 8th in yards given up per game, 8th in passing, and 15th in rushing. They did struggle a little bit forcing turnovers. They ended up 23rd in the NFL with only 19 takeaways all season. Free agency, though, did not help their secondary out. They lost Kyle Fuller to the Ravens, Nate Hairston to the Vikings, and Bryce Callahan to the Chargers, who all put up good minutes last season. They did bring in some very good help at linebacker, notably Alex Singletary from the Eagles and Randy Gregory from the Cowboys. These 2 additions should help their run defense immensely, as those 2 are very fast linebackers that can run the length of the field with backs, and they can tackle in open space. Now, despite not having a first-round draft pick this season, the Broncos still had 9 picks, which they used 2/3 of on defensive players. Some of these guys might see the field this season, but the one draft pick we do want to highlight was actually from the 3rd round, and actually for their offense, they drafted tight end Greg Dulcich out of UCLA, who we might think will end up the number 1 tight end at the end of the year for the Denver Broncos. Now, at the end of the day, the Broncos have built up a very solid offense, but after the 3 wide receivers we mentioned, they are extremely thin at that position, and all those guys are prone to injuries. their run game will most likely carry the offense like it did last season, leaving it up to their defense to be that final piece getting this team to the postseason. Now, with the level the offenses are right now in the AFC, this defense, in our opinion, is just a couple steps behind of being elite. Unlike a lot of people, we're not really jumping on that Russell Wilson bandwagon and think this team is not going to be as good as everyone else thinks. I know, it's a hot take, but they are certainly going to be able to play with a lot of teams out there, but overall, we think they're just a tier below the top level teams in the NFL. A lot of people are going to argue with this one, but we're going to take the Denver Broncos under 10.5 wins this season. Well, that completes the AFC season predictions, with the exception of the Browns, which we will roll out once we have a better idea of what is going on with Deshaun Watson. The NFC North is coming up next, along with all the other NFC divisional predictions. In the meantime, though, don't forget, sign up for that 2022 NFL betting contest over at grandstandbettors.com. We're giving away great quarterly prizes, and the grand prize is going to be $1,000 at the end of the NFL season. As always, though, sit back, relax. If you're a Broncos fan, don't be surprised if by week 8 you're wondering, why did we take Russell Wilson?